feels great when you have a park full of 600 people. It really has a deeper impact.
Hello and welcome to Where the Living Room Used to Be, a podcast about Rhode Island's music scene. Hey everyone, it's James. Levitt AMP Woonsocket has been featuring top-notch music in Rhode Island's northernmost city since 2018. So on this episode, I catch up with event director Meg Rego to talk about the goal of bringing diverse music to Woonsocket, what goes into booking a 10-event series such as this, and we go week by week, covering what this year's lineup has in store. So I hope you enjoy the episode, and really look forward to seeing you at River Island Art Park this summer. And also, if you're on social media, please follow Where the Living Room Used to Be on Facebook and Instagram to see photos from Levitt AMP Woonsocket through the years. Meg Rego, thank you for taking some time. I'm excited to connect with you and talk about the amazing music series that you've been helping to put together in Woonsocket, Levitt AMP, for several years now. So thanks for hopping on the podcast.
Awesome, old James, and Where the Living Room Used to Be. Thanks so much for bringing us on. We've been doing some really exciting work in Woonsocket over the past 3 or 4 years, and it's great to be able to tell everybody about this awesome venue where a lot of Rhode Island locals were fortunate enough to have them playing on our stage. Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about the start of Levitt AMP and how that process went on, and even just kind of like what the beginnings of the series were for you? Sure. So I work for NeighborWorks Blackstone River Valley. We're a community development corporation that builds affordable housing across northern Rhode Island. So at face value, you're like, what is going on here? Right? But part of our mission is to enrich community life. We have this awesome kitchen incubator where local food entrepreneurs are making up food, and they're getting their start before they open a brick and mortar. And we were looking for opportunities to help our kitchen members to sell their food and also to support the local economy in Woonsocket. And so music was just a perfect fit. We had done a couple of food truck nights that went off really well. And so we wanted to find a more sustainable way to bring live music to downtown Woonsocket. And that's when we stumbled upon the Levitt Foundation. They're based in LA, and each year they fund 15 communities across the country with a $25,000 grant. You have to match it. And as part of that process, you get to bring 10 weeks of free live music to your local community.
What's it like working with them and everything that they're doing?
So the Levitt Foundation is an awesome funder. They're very participatory. I think the last time I booked a concert was in college, so I definitely was a little rusty before we were fortunate enough to win the grant. I should also say the Levitt Foundation wanted to make sure that the communities that were potentially going to be funded really wanted this to happen. And so they, in addition to writing a grant application, you had to have a lot of letters of support. The city of Woonsocket, the mayor was really supportive. The Downtown Woonsocket Collaborative. I know the Blackstone Valley Tourism Council wrote us a letter of support that initial year. And once we made it through that phase, our community had to actually go on and type in their email addresses and vote to bring 10 weeks of music to Woonsocket. And so they started us off by keeping in mind that the community is central to what we're doing. And then from there, Levitt, they brought all of their funded sites to LA together. 2 of us got to go fly across the country. We got to meet the other sites. And we really became part of this community of grant-funded agencies across the country. And so they're super supportive, had lots of ideas for how to make our music festival something that was desirable for everyone to attend. And then they also have their own missions. So they're looking to revitalize underused space. And that's how we chose to hold our concert series in River Island Art Park, which is a beautiful riverfront park in Woonsocket that just wasn't getting very much use. So that was one of the locations that we picked, or the location we picked for our series. And then their other priority is also to ensure that your lineup is really diverse. So they want to make sure that the people on the stage are representative of the people that live in your community. And even, I mean, there's some Kentucky sites that are like, we listen to like string picking country music, and that's what we have going on. Every person here is like, you know, a white person. Why are we? And it is part of the series is looking at exposing a community to diverse music that you might not be aware of otherwise. And so they really help us to think through like putting together a diverse lineup and presenting that in the communities that we work.
Okay. Do they help a little bit with the acts that come in? Like, do they have some of those connections with the artists? Like more so like with some of the national, regional acts that you have coming in, because you do have big acts. We'll get into a lot of the lineup that's been on stage, who's coming in 2021, but you have, you know, Grammy winners, you have people that are, you know, just doing big things that are hitting this stage. So, but do they help with that? Or is that something that you've had to kind of generate a lot on your own?
So once you become a Levitt site, they publicize us a lot. And I swear every booking agency across the country has like me on speed dial or something. But you end up you get a lot of phone calls and a lot of emails with like, I have the best new act, and it would be great if they came to Woonsocket. So you get the benefit that way. I will say we've been able to secure some of our, really notable talent because we'll set up a little tour. So there's a Levitt site in Vermont. There's a Levitt site in Utica, New York, and then there's another one in Connecticut. And so when we kind of join forces, the four of us, we're able to get some acts that otherwise would be out of our price point. But for the most part, they like sort of put you out there and they say, good luck.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. And I mean, that kind of hits to the point of you're just bringing in these acts that, might not necessarily be hitting these, smaller, communities in a sense. But you brought up River Island Art Park. Could you talk a little bit more about that site and just kind of what the overall vibe is? I've been, fortunate to go to it several times and be a part of it. Full disclosure, I work for Blackstone Valley Tourism Council, so heading on this as well. But yeah, it's just this wonderful place, and you built this stage right along the Blackstone River. It really is set up well that there's the sight lines are great, whether you're getting a beer, getting some food at the food trucks or whatever, So can you just talk a little bit more about the thoughts behind that?
So part of our option for the park was that as NeighborWorks Blackstone River Valley, so the nonprofit that applied for the funding, we own 2 vacant mill buildings that we're looking to develop actually into artist housing. It'll be live-work housing. There'll be 72 studio apartments. It's riverfront property. They used to be an old mill buildings that then were developed into an artist collaborative. And so part of our redevelopment plan is to revitalize these into new housing for artists. And so, and then our mill race building that has the mill race kitchen and a rentable event space is also right adjacent to the park. And so when we were thinking of a location, this park was definitely underutilized, but it also is hopefully soon to be at the home of a lot more local artists. And so we wanted to prime this park for more artistic talent to come in. We wanted for potential renters to say, this is where I want to live. Look at everything that's going on down here. And so that was definitely part of our decision-making there. We also then needed a lot of help because we wanted to make sure that people, right, just like you said, James, that there were good lines of sight to get to the stage. We signed up really early on with Adam Brunetti Productions, who has a production company. He's local to Woonsocket. I think he was fairly young when he started with us 3 or 4 years ago. And I remember being like, okay, he seems like he knows everything that he is doing. And the first night out there, you knew that Adam was totally had his stuff together. And he immediately looked at the stage that was in the park and was like, Meg, this is not going to work. We need to build a stage and it needs to be right here. We're going to set up our sound booth in this gazebo right in the middle. And he was 100% right. It was such a great decision. There's a grassy area in front of the stage, so everybody can sit there. The park actually used to hold an ice skating rink. And so we turned this concrete pad that had the skating rink on it into a food court. So there'll be 3 or 4 food trucks each night. Sierra's Tavern sets up an on-site bar so people can purchase beverages if they would like to. There's some picnic tables. And it's just there isn't a bad spot in the park. And I will say, like, I grew up in South County. I like the cool ocean breezes. Well, we get some cool river breezes right off of the river that's there. And the whole park is covered, has a great tree cover. So
yeah,
it feels like 10 degrees cooler when you're at River Island Art Park as opposed to anywhere else that you're going to spend in Northern Rhode Island that night.
So, especially during this summer series. But yeah, I mean, it's also extremely family-friendly event, not only just with the music that you're bringing in, but just some of the activities that you have there as well. Can you kind of address some of that stuff of what you're doing with, even just some of the vendors that you're bringing in, some of the activities for kids and...
So we have like the standard cornhole and Jenga and different games for children to play with. I don't know where we've landed on that this year yet with COVID sanitizing protocol, but usually it's like a really fun zone where kids can hang out. We try to bring in like a face painter from time to time throughout the summer. We'll hand out glow sticks. That's always a popular night, bubbles. But I grew up going to music forever. It was something that I did with my family from the age of like being really young and still to now. I'll hang out with my siblings and my parents and go see shows. And so we're looking at we're trying to indoctrinate the culture or it's a harsh word. I'm not like giving people religious mandates, but we're trying to have people grow up in this awesome culture of going to see bands and going to see live music. And so we want to make sure that there are fun things for kids to do in the park and that parents feel really comfortable. We're pretty far off main roads. So it's easy for kids to play and for the rest of the family to sit or stand or dance and watch whoever's performing that given night.
Yeah, excellent. But yeah, I mean, let's get into some of the music. You have an incredible lineup. And, one thing that I love and, a major reason why I'm even reaching out is just that you have a lot of attention, but to Rhode Island music and a lot of attention to connecting some of these musicians that are, major players or on the rise or whatever it may be, connecting them with other artists for connections or to give them another stage to be on. And it's just a wonderful thing that you're doing. So that's why I'd, love to talk to you more about that. So, some of the past performers that you've had are, from Boo City to Swamp Birds to Z-Boys, Eastern Medicine Singers, Obie Howard, you're just bringing out this diverse list of people. But this will be the 4th season, correct, of Levitt AMP in Woonsocket. And you had, obviously with last year with COVID, still had some shows and had some virtual events. But
so this is
started 2018.
Exactly. We started 2018. So we've had 2 full seasons in River Island Art Park with our it's about a $60,000 production for each of those years. In 2020, we went virtual. So we took the best of the best of what had happened over 2018 and 2019, put it out virtually. And then we did 9 really mini shows right on the patio at Mill Race to highlight Rhode Island, a couple of Boston performers, but to give people something to come out and come together in a safe outdoor environment for. And so we are really excited to be back in River Island Art Park. It is a lot of work bringing, bands out and marketing everything. And so it feels wonderful to have our mini shows, but it feels great when you have a park full of 600 people. It really has a deeper impact. And I think the musicians appreciate that type of attendance as well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. But even just to shout it out, I mean, what you did with the Bill Race music series, that seemed like it was well attended every night. And I was fortunate to get to play one with my band High Plains, and it was an amazing night. And it was wonderful to see, Cuffs, a big fan of Cuffs Counter, and, them selling out of food, and the audience was so attentive, and it was a great night. So what you're doing and just the community that's coming out is great on the other side of being the musician. It's something special that you're doing. So just thank you for that.
That's awesome, James. Yeah, it was a great night when High Plains was out there. We had so much fun. It has kind of like not a listening room atmosphere, but it's like definitely more intimate when you're up. And it's crazy because the Milnery series is held literally on a street corner. So
yeah,
the corner of
but it didn't
Main Street and Vernon Street. But there's like interesting lighting and these like weird wind sculptures. So when you're on that little corner of the patio, it does feel like its own performance space in itself, which is really nice.
Yeah. But yeah, let's talk about this year, because we've got a long series of 10 events that are going, but you're kicking it off with Steve Smith and the Nakeds and Lauren King, both from Rhode Island. Can you talk about that show, which is July 9th?
Sure, yeah. So we start off July 9th with Steve Smith and the Nakeds and Lauren King. And I will say, Steve is a longtime family friend. I call his wife Auntie Karen. So when we got our funding for the series the first year, I called Steve and I was like, Steve, how do I book a band? And so we were so fortunate to have the Nakeds as part of our lineup. One, because they're incredibly talented musicians. They're incredibly professional. They've been doing this for almost 50 years. They're listed in the Rhode Island Music Hall of Fame. They are a party on stage, but also Steve has just been really helpful in shaping our series, in ensuring that when folks come out to our stage in Woonsocket, that musicians are treated really well. We have a beautiful green room that's set up. The sound and lighting obviously is taken care of. I think he was like, Meg, you got to put a cover over the stage so that we're like, in case it rains. So just some really simple things that our first time out was really helpful to have that extra guidance. So we're thrilled to have Steve and the guys come out again. This will be their third time. And I think nothing says Rhode Island like a Rhode Island band that's been at it for almost 50 years. So we're hoping for a really great attendance and a great party to kick off our 2021 season. Yeah.
And can you talk a little bit more about Lauren?
Sure. So Lauren is a singer-songwriter also out of Smithfield. Lauren has helped us out with a couple of other Levitt things. She's played an event at Lops, which is a Woonsocket-based brewery, where we actually had a voting party to encourage people to vote to bring the concert series back. And Lauren has a lot of ties to the Nakeds as well. And so it'll just be a really nice combination to have both of them on stage the same night. Super sweet voice. I think she was just highlighted in Motif as being, an up and coming Rhode Island musician. And so it'll be great to have her on our stage as well.
That's fantastic. Yeah.
Oh, mother, mother, I think I broke my own heart, breaking his. And oh, mother, is there any kind of medicine for this? For all the heartache and all of the mistakes, is it too late to come back to myself yet?
On July 16th, it is Cat Wright and Backroads, correct?
So on the 16th, Cat Wright is like a blues, jazzy musician. She's out of Vermont. And we have Backroads, which is a local, I call them like a gritty country act, local to Exeter. And we had Backroads booked, oh my gosh, for 2020. They were one of the bands that we carried over from our 2020 season to 2021. Mm-hmm. Initially, they were to perform in front of Della Mae, who is like a Grammy nominated bluegrass act. And it was like a match made in heaven. It was going to be great. And so I kept coming back to Ed DeSorcy and being like, Ed, I'm working on setting you guys up with another act, but we're still trying to make it work. And so when we got Kat to agree to the 16th, I went back to Ed and Backroads, and they were like, oh my gosh, Meg, we are huge Cat Wright fans. Like, we are so thrilled to be opening for her. We had to get most of our opening acts approved. And so there was also, I think, this sense of like, oh, it's cool that this like nationally touring act is cool with Backroads being the support act. Right?
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I think it's we try to mix things up to make sure that your opener and your headliner are kind of two different styles. It gives the audience more to come out for, and it helps introduce you maybe to a genre of music that you don't know that you're going to love. And so it'll be really great. The Backroads does all their own original country music, and to have that in front of Kat, I think is going to make for definitely a fun evening.
Yeah, I have yet to see Backroads in person, but I got to see Jesse, their singer, do a solo set for the Parlor live stream, and he just blew me away. He's just fantastic, and I'm really looking forward to that. And people might know him. He was on The Voice, so if you've got some TV stars on your series here, right? But he's one of them, and or you've had TV stars on with Emily Luther, who's played in the past as well. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. I dig what they're really doing, and yeah, I mean, some Rhode Island country music, No,
so. I think his feedback on The Voice was, you'd be better with a band. And so he was great on The Voice, but now we have him and the whole band coming out.
Yeah.
And so it'll be even better than what you all heard on TV out on July 16th.
There's a fire that's burning deep down in my soul, and it keeps me warm when this world gets so cold. Come the morning time, I'll be finding home with homes. There's a fire that's burning deep down in my soul.
And then what do we move to the next week on the 23rd?
So the next week on the 23rd, our headliner is Kirsty Blanton, she's kind of been all over the place. I think right now she's outside of Philly, but she did a John Prine cover song that people started listening to a lot in honor of that great musician. And so you might have heard her on the radio, or you might have seen her name pop up a little bit more on your Spotify playlist. And then for the first time, and I feel really bad about this, so the Beardogz are Spencer, Susie, the Susie family, and everybody else that's in that group. They have been such good supporters of this series for the whole time we've had it. And we have a caveat that you have to perform your own original music that comes down from the Levitt Foundation. And so for the first 2 years, I was like, oh no, the Beardogz, I see them at Ciro's, I see them at the breweries, they're a cover act. And lo and behold, they have
they've got
an awesome book of music.
They've got a couple records out, right?
They have records out. They are so great at what they do. And so it is my bad, but finally in year three of our full season, we'll have the Beardogz up on our stage. And I'm very stoked to finally have them in their local community playing up on our Levitt stage. It's one of the things, it's a cool thing I think about the Levitt series is it might be one of the few music series in Rhode Island where you're actually seeing musicians for all 10 weeks performing their own original music. And so all 20 acts that we have on our stage are like, this is their career. This is what they do. And they're performing songs that they've developed, which is pretty nice to see. Yeah,
absolutely. And yeah, just the community that it's connected, like, I mean, obviously with them, I mean, they're from Woonsocket. And yeah, they're fantastic. I think that they're just I don't even know how to describe it, but they're just easy to like, I guess, like there's not, like if you're just a fan of music, I think that you're gonna like them. So yeah, come down on that Friday night as well.
Come on, James, you're going to tell people to come down every Friday night.
I am. Yes, every Friday. Yeah.
I'll be there every Friday. It'll be great. It'll
hang out with Meg and no, but you do have a fantastic lineup that I was thinking of this, that it, like, even if you're not necessarily like a fan of a certain artist or familiar with a certain, or even like a fan of a certain style of music or familiar with a certain artist, like the caliber of artists that you're bringing in is just going to be something that should appeal to almost anyone, and it's really helping to elevate Woonsocket as the music scene that's there. I mean, obviously there's a huge flag in the ground with Chans and some of the other things that have come through, but I mean, you're bringing in these bands, and yeah, I mean, honestly, I would recommend, if you're free on a Friday night, I mean, make plans to go, but if you're free on a Friday night, 6:00, it's a free show. You're going to like it. I mean, I've done my research leading up to this, and there isn't anything that I don't like.
Perfect.
That kind of leads into July 30th. He's Terrence, Simeon, and the Zydeco Experience is such high energy I guess even just if you've listened to Zydeco music or just ever heard it, it is like hard to not have that, pulse through your veins. But he is a 2-time Grammy winner. Just the lineage has been passed down to him, and it's like in him. And, it's wonderful to see him coming back to the stage and then opening is Natural Element, which is a premier reggae band. Has honestly one of my favorite drummers. O.C. Brathwaite is just an amazing, amazing drummer. I mean, just go for him, I would say, and obviously Gregory Rourke and all the other members that are in that band. But that's an incredible Friday night of music. So yeah, could you talk a little bit more about that evening from your point of view?
So reggae and Zydeco, like, why not? Why not put those two things together, right? Seems like a good time. So Zydeco is just like a universally loved style of music. Even if you don't know that you will love that style of music, you will. Terrence, Simeon, and the guys were out in 2019. Our park was under construction, and the people that were there had a great time, but a lot of people struggled to get there due to the construction. And so we really wanted to give the community another opportunity to come out and see him. His wife is his booking agent, and Cynthia said that Terrence had such a lovely time in Woonsocket that he would come back whenever we would have him. So we are having him again in 2021 on July 30th. He just brings New Orleans to the stage. You will probably get tossed a set of Mardi Gras beads while you are there. You should bring whatever type of dancing shoes or flip-flops or bare feet you would like to have for the park. And it's definitely going to be fun. And then we had worked a ton with Becky Bass, Becky Bass, and we hadn't worked with Natural Element yet. We have had a goal of bringing reggae music to this series. It didn't, I wasn't able to make it work for a headliner this time. And so we were like, why not? 2-time award-winning Grammy Zydeco act with Rhode Island's premier reggae band. This seems like a good combo to me. Yeah,
that's going to be fun. And you know, even with Terrence, like he's kind of bringing in a lot of different elements of funk and some of those other sounds as well. He's it's going to be a fun night, and just even top-notch musicianship, you know, is there. And so excited for that one.
He's the only headliner that I have witnessed that watches the entire opening act. So Terrence brings his own beach chair, his own like reclining chair, and he sets it up stage right, and he will be there and he'll sit down. He's just a lover of music, and he's going to watch the entire first set. Which is, I don't know, it's just like he just loves music and is probably, you know, learning a lot from everyone he sees perform. But when we think about connecting some of like Rhode Island's best with some of these touring musicians, you never know what can come out of, you know, being with a headliner of that caliber, or what future gigs might happen across state lines, because of those connections that are made.
If I was to tell you just how much I need you to come tonight, but would you not believe me? 'Cause I'm not that easy, never took that right. I'm trying to change the rules. You deserve something good in your life. We've waited for far too long, so come get your blessing tonight, baby. Won't you come over, love, so I can show you love.
Yeah, so then we move into August. Can you talk about the show you have on the 6th?
Sure. So it's our one night that we don't have any Rhode Islanders.
Yeah, so never mind.
We'll brush over that one, right? But we're bringing out, so our headliner is Isaiah Sharkey. He is a Grammy award-winning jazz R&B performer. He's actually toured with John Mayer. He's a guitar player. And
I think I've heard of that guy. Is he? Right? He's a good guitarist, right? He plays in the Grateful Dead or something. I don't know. But.
They bring you on there. Not a bad scene. And so he does. Our music is selected. We have like a committee that helps with all of these decisions. Community recommends acts to us. And when the folks heard Isaiah, they were like, yes, we've had nothing like this on our stage yet. And it's about time that this music is brought here. So that will be cool. And then totally. Opening from him is Lisa Bello. Lisa is like half in Brooklyn, half in Boston. She played as part of our Mill Race series. She actually was recommended to us by a local Rhode Islander. So she's like Rhode Island adjacent. Yeah. And she does like a R&B soul funk sound. And so I think it'll be a nice pairing to see the two of them.
Yeah, totally. That sounds great. Yeah.
Like broke it down at the end of her session with a Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, I don't know, mashup that, you know, everyone does their own music, but it's sometimes you get a cover that everyone remembers.
Yeah.
She had everyone on the Mill Race patio up and dancing. So hopefully we'll see that again in the park.
Yeah. Well, we'll let her know right now. We've got you on record. Be like, here's a little snippet from this interview of what you will be doing. You know,
we have a little poll, right? We can make recommendations.
Yeah. Oh, it's been a minute since I got to feel your sounds. I don't want to wake up till there's sunlight in your room. Don't want to feel emotions. I just wanna feel you. Keep it in the moment, we gon' ride it out, let it flow, vibe it out. I don't wanna wake up till there's, I don't wanna wake up till there's.
But yeah, following that on August 13th is a fantastic gospel show with Rev Sekou, who is, I don't know, just phenomenal. Just an incredibly engaging, incredibly soulful, and I just kind of want to know what he's bringing, because I mean the stuff that I've kind of seen leading up to this, he's got like a 10-piece band, and it is like just an incredible performance, and then obviously, you know, like one of the beloved musicians in Rhode Island, Kim Trusty, will be playing as well. So can you talk about that evening of music?
So we were very fortunate this year to be funded, in addition to our Levitt funding. It takes a lot more money to put all of this on. So the New England Foundation for the Arts has funded 5 of our 5 performers. Rev Sekou was one of them, and Kim Trusty was another one of them. And so this full evening is costing us a lot more than many of the other evenings that we put on, but it's what has enabled us to have the 2 musicians or 2 groups of this caliber on our stage in one night. Rev Sekou is a liberation theologian. He is an author. He does speaking engagements. If you catch his Tiny Desk NPR Tiny Desk concert, you can get a sense of what he is all about. But his music is really deeply rooted in like the African American gospel tradition. He does a lot of songs of like protest and justice, and his hope for what the world should be looking like. And given our past year and given our history, to have him on our stage is going to, I think, be really good for our community and for Rhode Island in general. We usually, we've partnered really closely with St. James Baptist Church for several years, and they always say, Meg, bring us gospel music. And so this is our gospel night. And then in speaking with Kim, so Kim Trusty was part of our Mill Race Music series and our Levitt series. And she has an entire new album of gospel music that she has recorded over the pandemic.
Cool.
And it's super hopeful and thoughtful and positive. And so I think it might be the first time that she's performing that album in full on stage.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Sitting on this rooftop, floods are rushing by, levees overflowing, wondering if we're gonna die. No food or water, how sad are we today? Can you tell me, brothers and sisters, why no help is on the way? Guess we all don't count much to that cowboy, what a fool. Next thing they'll tell us, it's what Jesus said to do. Oh, they're talking in that White House. They don't care about poor folk like me and you. We ain't got much money, and we don't know what to do. If we were rich folk, be a rescue like you have never seen. But people of color don't count like the color green.
August 20th is another returning star, EhShawnee. She is from the Dominican Republic, correct? But is now based in Providence, and she seems like she's blowing up. You know, like
Totally is blowing
like
up.
and like an amazing way. I mean, I did catch her. What I think was it 2018 when she played, or I caught her set there, and I mean it's fantastic then. But now, I mean, she's getting millions of views on YouTube for all of her videos, and is just becoming a Dominican salsa star. You know, and
really shows James's dedication to Levitt and how wonderful it is, because we have, knock on wood, had 20 weeks without rain, knock on wood, because it's going to happen this year. But one of the weeks that it rained before the show started was in 2018. Yeah. EhShawnee did her performance. So I think we delayed an hour or something. To show up that night, that is a big dedication to the Rhode Island music scene right there.
Yeah.
She is phenomenal. So I met EhShawnee through an entire, like a nonprofit leadership thing in 2018. And I remember you had to present a nonprofit problem that you had to your group. And EhShawnee was on my team, and I was like, I need to find a salsa singer. This is my nonprofit problem. Like, I can't imagine another group that was like another nonprofit organization that's like, my issue is I need to find a salsa act. That was usually it's like, oh, I want for people to be more dedicated in the workplace, or I need more funding. And I was like, no, I need a salsa musician. Well, lo and behold, EhShawnee is working for a nonprofit, was in this like leadership development group with me. And she sends me after the fact a link to this woman, EhShawnee, performing on stage in this stunning red dress with her hair all made up. And lo and behold, they're the same people. And so EhShawnee is one of my dear Rhode Island friends. She grew up in the DR till she was about 8 and now lives in Providence. She has, I think the folks at Poder and Latina, really picked up on her sound. Mm-hmm. And so she travels back to the DR several times a year and does performances to sell out crowds. She just released a couple of new singles. There's one, Mi Vida es Shula, which is like My Life is Good, which I swear, listen to it. It will get stuck in your head in the best of ways. It's like exactly what you want to have humming in the background. Yeah. And then she has another song that's on the top of the salsa charts in the DR right now. And so it'll be great. She has strong ties to Woonsocket. She used to work at the Woonsocket shelter. And so it's like a little homecoming to have her on our stage. Yeah. And why not mix salsa with jazz?
Yeah. Michelle Cruz, like an award-winning female jazz singer, will be playing as well. So
it's going to be a night of great women-led music, which is awesome. So Michelle, this will be her first time on our stage. We don't know yet what her band will look like or exactly what she will be singing, but she said, mark me down. I'll be there on the 20th. Michelle also works for Trinity Rep, and so we had met again from the side of things. And it's just great to see how many musicians are out there, making things working different gigs, and then doing their music at nighttime. So nice to have her with us.
Levántate, no te quedes acostado. Ven conmigo hacia el otro lado. Lo mejor está por llegar. No te quedes rezagado. Solo voy donde me lleve el viento. No me preocupo, no me atormento. Y si me quieres ver caer, I'm sorry for you, lo siento. Goza la vida y de eso no tenga dudas. Porque la vida es muy chula. Ponle color, alegría y sabrosura. Porque la vida es muy chula. Olvida las penas y suelta las ataduras. Porque la vida es muy chula. La. Porque la vida es muy chula.
And I mean, even moving on from there, there's another great headliner with some Rhode Island ties the next week, which August 27th will be Marielle Kraft. Is that how you pronounce her name? I feel like I should have done more research on that.
Absolutely. Marielle Kraft. We got it.
I researched by music and all this other stuff. And then I'm like, oh man, I don't remember how to, So for everyone out there, my name is James Toomey,
Marielle, if he's saying your name wrong, you can call James and let him know.
Yeah. I'll be at the show. Be like, that's the guy, So
I think you pronounced it perfectly.
All right, cool. But it seems that she's been, making some moves and, originally from East Greenwich, but was in Nashville and Philly now and, doing some interesting, pop
went to the
music,
University of Delaware. A lot of her music, it takes me back to my college days.
Okay.
She the content of her songs. If you were a girl going through college, you might really relate very well to the things that Marielle sings about. But regardless of your age or your gender or whether or not you went to college, her music is a lot of fun. It definitely has a pop vibe to it, and it's just enjoyable to listen to. So I'm claiming Marielle as a Rhode Islander due to her strong East Greenwich ties. So.
Yeah. Cool. And then who else is on that set? That show?
So opening for Marielle is Leroy Street. Leroy did a stint on a radio station in Woonsocket, and so he has a lot of fans. And he has an original album of hip hop music called Buddy. That he did like a one-time like intermission performance of one song for us, and everybody was on their feet having a great time. Bring him back for a full 45-minute set this year.
Cool. That's awesome.
Yeah, so hip hop and pop. Why not?
There you go.
Mother couldn't help, was going through tribulations, so they would be with me. I'm the only one they was facing, and as time went on, we developed the bond. I realized they were a gift and not a burden or storm. I told them I would protect till the day that I can't. Told them I got their hearts if it slip out their hands. And hell no, it wasn't easy, it was difficult, believe me. But I fell in love with them, and then with me it's crazy. I ain't never felt this before. They scream my name when I come through the door. And I ain't never felt this before. I love them like I never loved before. And I ain't never felt this before. They scream my name when I come through.
You took a week off after that.
Give it a break. It's a holiday weekend, so we'll skip September 3rd. It's also the weekend of Rhythm and Roots if anyone wants to head down to Ninigret Park. But we'll take a little week off, and then we'll be back on September 10th.
Yeah, but you're coming back with a big one on September 10th with Adam Ezra Group and Mark Cutler. Yeah, I mean that's an amazing show. Can you talk a little bit more about Adam and his band? And
sure. So it feels weird having like an opening and a headlining group that week, as you know, Mark Cutler and the Men of Great Courage are such esteemed Rhode Island musicians. Yeah. And so let me talk a little bit about Adam, and then we'll talk about Mark. And so Adam Ezra Group, we actually had Adam booked to perform like a listening room show on March 16th, 2020. We were doing it inside our Mill Race event space. It was going to be like a fundraiser for our youth program. And of course, like we all know what happened in March of 2020, but I think we were the first show that got canceled. And so looking ahead at 2021, he was someone that we definitely wanted to include in our lineup. The Adam Ezra Group was actually I spoke before about how I haven't booked a band since college. Well, in college, I booked the drummer from Dispatch, Bradigan, was a musician that I booked for something that we were doing on campus. Yeah. And we got this call from these people in Boston that were like, hey, you're booking Bradigan. Do you have an opener? We would like to open for him. I was like, I have no money. They're like, no. We're just going to drive from Boston to Pennsylvania, and we're going to open for this guy. I was like, okay. Happened to be Adam Ezra, his group, and we're talking. It was like 2007 then, and they were absolutely phenomenal. And now we have like 14 years later, they're also going to be phenomenal. Adam's music is really it's like very uplifting, has a positive message. I think I'm calling it Americana, country, folk, whatever you want to call it in there. It has got a really gritty voice. And then we'll occasionally throw a like Beatles acoustic song in at the end and have everybody up and singing and each other's company. The group has actually performed every day of the pandemic, or and sometimes the group has performed a live stream every day of the pandemic. So they're at like 474 performances together at 7 p.m. They call it The Gathering. And they'll be recording live a gathering at this concert. And so there we'll get to be part of this larger community that listens to the group on a regular basis.
That's cool. Yeah. And see, I learned something, Meg. I had no idea that in all my years of touring and playing in a band, I could just call up someone and say, hey, I'm playing this show. Hey, you know that? I'm coming down. I'm driving down, and I'm going to open up for this band, you know? And they're like, all right. You know?
I'm all about compensating musicians. So I didn't feel great about the scenario. I think we did really well with our ticket sales that night. So I could at least give them money to drive back to Austin from Philly. Like the GW or the Tappan Z become expensive.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
That's one way you got a forever fan from me.
That's cool.
Very kind. And so with the Adam Ezra group, we have Mark Cutler and the Men of Great Courage who will be kicking things off that night. We have tried to have Mark on our stage 2018, 2019, and for different health reasons, we weren't able to make that work. And so I am stoked to have him and the guys. Whatever date we could fit him in, we were getting him on our stage. And so I think it's going to work out really well on September 10th to have both of those groups performing together.
Yeah. I mean, Mark is phenomenal. People that, most likely know, but if you don't, he's a, singer from the Schemers and the Rain Dogs and, a inductee into the Rhode Island Music Hall of Fame as well. And just a fantastic songwriter and musician. And yeah, it's a good pairing that you have there on that night.
You're talking about Rhode Islanders who write and perform their own original tunes. It's like a sin that we got this far without having Mark on our stage. And so it'll be great to have him there this year.
Yeah.
Somebody told me about a flood. Now is there room or am I out of luck? I look into a sweet baby blues. She said, honey, I guess you lose. You ain't got no reservation on a Salvation cruise.
But to cap it off, I mean, talk about another great pairing. I'm just, excited for the show that you have on September 17th with CD Maiga and Chachi Carvalho. I mean, I have a feeling that there might be some crossover performances going on. And I mean, that's a great, I mean, just looking at the series is phenomenal, but just you've kind of bookended it with some incredible high impact energy shows, obviously with Terrence and a lot of other people in between, but just what Chachi brings is, I mean, guy's a legend, so can you talk about that evening of music and what people can expect, since I was so ambiguous with it, other than that
Absolutely. So I mean, you got to start off strong and you have to end equally, if not stronger. And so this is another night that's been funded by NEFA, by the New England Foundation on the Arts, which is again why we get to have such an incredible pairing of musicians in one evening, because my budget isn't that big otherwise. And so CD has performed on our stage. This will actually be his third consecutive year performing on our big Levitt AMP stage in River Island Art Park. He is a world-renowned djembe performer. Mm-hmm. He's originally from Mali, West Africa. He brings, I mean, we talk about how Zydeco is universally appealing music. I think that Djembala, I don't know, I need him to pronounce it because I can't do it as well. But when you're playing a djembe, that's also everyone's going to love that music. It is a blast. And so he and his band Afromanding will be on our stage. He is super interactive. And so I think we had to build him a set of stairs so that he could get from the stage into the audience. It'll be interesting. Hopefully we're all very healthy come September 17th, because I think I got to drum on his drum once or twice. There was definitely a grandma next to me that was drumming on his drum, a little kid. And so it's definitely very interactive. Both CD and Chachi, as part of their grant funding, were also funded to work with our youth program at NeighborWorks. And so
fantastic.
Prior to their performance sometime that week, we have a comprehensive youth program for kindergartners through 12th graders. And so I think Chachi is working with the middle school and high school kids, and CD is with the K through 5th graders. And so they're going to be working with the youth, teaching them a little bit about their style of music, along with like what it means to follow your dreams and get to do what you've wanted to do all of your life and be on stage and perform. And so it'll be great to see the youth participation or excitement as they're seeing someone on stage that they just, learned from and interacted with leading up to it. CD also brings incredible dancers. Everyone on stage is in like a stunning outfit that is connected to the style of West African drumming that they're doing. Its whole family comes out. It's a good time in Woonsocket. And then starting off the night, I would like to say, we'll have Chachi Cavallo and his international players. Chachi was on stage in 2019, focusing predominantly on his hip hop performance. Chachi is super acclaimed, Rhode Island musician and educator. And so it'll be, this is just like a very Rhode Island night of music to mix Chachi with CD and to get to see them in one place at the same time. And so I think it's going to be a great way to close out our full season.
Yeah, it's just super wonderful what you've done with regards to pulling in this music that is just great for families. It's I didn't know about the educational piece that you just brought up, and that's something that's also just a really cool thing to hear, and just how this stuff can extend beyond just the 45 minutes that a band's on stage or an hour that someone's on stage or even just these 10 weeks, that it really is about exposing people, exposing families and young children to as many styles of music as possible.
Yo, nevertheless, I'm one of the best. If you step on hate, I suggest put it to rest. I'm rolling out and rolling in dough with zest, hitting hard. Inhale and feel it in your chest. I'm coming from a smaller state, and through my incline and grind, I shine and left the fake behind. You don't gotta show me love. People push the eagle like mobile, where they at? I'm in the middle of the club, two-stepping with my Grand Marnier, my shiny new weapon. And when you hear the crowd roar, it ain't cause I'm holding up a gun, it's a cordless shore. I'm known to get the crowd hype. First I gotta ask the sound man, do my mic sound nice? Yo, hi, do my mic sound nice? Shit, wow, do my mic sound nice? What time is it? What time is it? What time is it? Showtime.
Just as a reminder for everyone that this event runs Friday nights, starts at 6:00, River Island Art Park in downtown Woonsocket. Where can people park?
Great question. Luckily, in Woonsocket, unlike some other cities, there are tons of public parking lots.
Yeah.
You just might need to walk like a few hundred yards to get to the park from there.
Yeah.
So right behind, there's a coffee shop called the Coffee Connection. Behind, if you put that in your GPS, behind there's a public parking lot. And then on Main Street, across the street from City Hall, and across the street from some of the other businesses, there's parking there as well. So I promise that there are plenty of spots to put your car. We're also right on a RIPTA bus route, so if you feel inspired and particularly environmental, you can hop on the bus and it will drop you right off in front of the park, which is nice. For those of you who are parking down the street, we have part of the mission of the series was also to support our downtown businesses. So anyone who shows up to the park with a receipt from a Woonsocket business get to be entered into a raffle to win a $50 gift card to a restaurant or whatever the gift is for that week. So that's one of the things that we're encouraging. But yeah, you'll be able to find parking, I promise.
Yeah, well, that's cool. There's definitely some cool stuff to check out. Get there as early as you can. Depending on your schedules these days, but yeah, get down early. It's also pretty easy to get to by bike as well. So if you're gonna bike up Blackstone River Bikeway, will take you there as well. So a lot of great ways to get there and enjoy some world-class music, So where can people find more information and, social media handles and website and stuff like that?
So we are on Facebook and Instagram at Levitt AMP Woonsocket, LEVITT Woonsocket. And that will have the most up-to-date information if there's a weather delay, or if we're moving. I don't know if we'll move indoors, but whatever will happen in case of weather, we'll announce it on those places. And then we also we use the NeighborWorks BRV website to keep a full list of the series, but I'd recommend either the Instagram or the Facebook page are probably great places to go for that info.
Cool. Well, is there anything that I forgot to bring up that you'd wanted to mention about the series?
I pulled some numbers because I thought that they were interesting, and my grant writing self likes to know the data. This year we're actually investing $19,500 into the Rhode Island music scene specifically, between our the musicians that we have with us, the Rhode Island-based musicians that we have with us. We're also really fortunate. We work with Marlon Carey, aka Infinite the Ghost, who is our MC every week. Yeah, he has strong ties to Woonsocket and currently lives in Providence, but he's there to make a really entertaining, announcements and keep everyone involved in what's happening on stage. And so it was another conscious decision to expand the art. So we have our music, and then we also have Marlon's known for his spoken word poetry and other art, and he'll incorporate some of that into his emceeing. But we'll hire 14 musicians plus our poet, and it's a $19,500 investment into our Rhode Island music economy.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Not bad, right?
Thank you. Yeah, no, that's great. And I mean, it's needed. I know in years past you've connected with a radio station in Woonsocket. Will you be doing that again to broadcast as well?
Yes. So we're very fortunate that WOON, they're 1240 AM or 99.5 FM. Dave Richards is the owner there, and he was, before we believed in ourselves, I think Dave believed in us. And so he comes out with his ON radio truck every week, and he live airs it over the radio, but he also video records it, and you can see it, I think, over their Facebook page and over their website. So I challenge everybody listening to come out to the park, but in the event you're not able to make it on a Friday night, Dave and the radio station are so wonderful to give us all an alternative option to get to listen to it live and hear everything that's happening. And also you can, see everything that's happening if you log on to their website or their Facebook page.
Cool.
Yeah, it has taken a full partnership of people across Woonsocket to make this happen, from the radio station. Autumn Fest donates, lets us use their stage every year. That's how we have a stage for the musicians to go on. The Downtown Woonsocket Collaborative really gets the local businesses involved. This year, Christopher's Restaurant, which is located right across the street from the park, they're actually cooking the meals for the bands and the volunteers every week. Cool. So it's definitely, there's different groups, like Rotary is coming out to volunteer a night, takes a bunch of people to move that many people around and keep that many people involved. So we're just really fortunate to have like such a circle of support, and the city, setting up the park and making, everything function. They ran electricity so that we were able to even have a stage located in that setup. It's a wonderful community effort that happens to pull this together. And we're so fortunate to have so many Rhode Island based bands that are like, hell yeah, I'm going to come out. I want to be on that stage. This is something that we want to be a part of. And so we're super grateful to this would be nothing without the music community. And so we're super grateful, for, them, their dedication and willingness to take the trip to Woonsocket and hang out with us for a bit.
They are Rhode Islanders, so well, Meg, thank you so much for your time and all that you're doing. I mean, you just in the last few sentences kind of put a little spotlight on some of all the work that goes into this, that it is a lot more than just showing up on a Friday night, that it takes, months, year of planning and a lot of behind the scenes. So truly thank you for all that you're doing. And thank you for your support of Rhode Island music and just your attention to highlighting all of this amazing music that's coming from our states and giving them a stage to play on and directly supporting them. So just thank you for that. And everyone, please show up to Levitt AMP in Woonsocket, July 9th through September 17th, every Friday night. And it's going to be a good time. And thanks again, Meg.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for spreading the word, James. We really appreciate it. And thanks for all you do for the Woonsocket music scene. I mean, it's phenomenal. Thank you.
Cool. Well, thank you so much.
See everybody in the park.
Yeah.